It's high time people realize that you can be rich and still be one of the most frugal people in the world. How does that saying go again? Money talks and wealth whispers? Well, there's nobody who follows this sentiment more than these people. Here are 15 extremely rich people who live like average people. Stick around to the end because some of these are very surprising. Number 1 will shock you. Number 15. Mark Cuban. The owner of the Dallas Mavericks has always led a frugal lifestyle. When he was 20 years old, he discovered that the cheapest way to live was to cram as many people as you could into one apartment. He slept on couches or the floor on many occasions, but even before that, he had a keen sense of business. He bought new basketball sneakers when he was 12 years old by selling trash bags. The man's efforts have paid off because he has amassed over $3 billion now, but he hasn't lost sight of his frugal mindset because he continues to cheer loudly at basketball games while donning merely standard jeans and worn-out sneakers. And he's not the only one who has tips about living cheaply. Up next, we have the face of one of the most iconic franchises in the world. Number 14. Tyra Banks. How does America's Next Top Model's host keep her beauty? We'll never know her secrets, but what we do know is that she's as frugal as possible. Tyra takes advantage of the fact that her job requires her to stay in a variety of hotels. Instead of purchasing new shampoo and conditioner, she collects samples from every location she visits. She is also no stranger to eating leftovers. Clearly, stardom has not changed her humble ways, just as it hasn't changed this next person. Number 13. Kristen Bell. Okay, this one might not surprise you. Kristen Bell was admonished a few months ago for not bathing her children. Her visitors are probably going through the 7 stages of grief when they arrive at her house. But saving money on her water bill isn't the only way she saves money. Despite having a combined net worth of over $40 billion with her husband, Dax Shepard, the couple have demonstrated that lavish events and parties aren't to everyone's taste. They even got married at a local courthouse for a total of $122. Kudos to them, not everyone would be willing to save up on their special day in this way. Belle also saves coupons on a regular basis, proving that mum instinct does not fade with fame and fortune. Let's hope those kids get that shower. But speaking of things you shouldn't admit to, another celebrity on this list may go too far. Number 12. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. Together, the couple have a whopping combined net worth of over $275 million. They're two of the most well-known faces on the planet, and they're increasingly becoming even more well-known for their frugal habits. The Hollywood power couple is attempting to provide their children with as normal an upbringing as possible. It's probably not easy, but they're doing their best. One of their policies is that their children receive no more than one gift at Christmas. Kunis was raised in the Soviet Union, and old habits die hard, which is probably for the best. Spoiled Hollywood children have grown up to be notoriously messed up. Another of their policies is not bathing their children until they have visible dirt on them. Yes, some of these policies should be revised. They're not all clever. Of course, we don't want anyone to get the false ideas. You can live on a budget and find a method to exercise proper hygiene. The future entries will prove that to you. Number 11. Queen Elizabeth II. The late Queen Elizabeth proved that the crown sat on a good head repeatedly. But did you know she was very frugal? That's right, even though you'd imagine the family had the wealth equivalent to a whole country at their disposal, the Queen ensured that not a single penny from it was wasted. Not only did she require that all palace light bulbs be on low wattage and turned off when not in use, but she also required that wrapping paper be reused, fraying sheets be reused, and handbags be reused for 40 years. For all those people who talk about getting new outfits for every single occasion, if the ruler of England wasn't doing it, why should you? She was truly a queen, and she's passed her wisdom down to her family as well. Number 10. Kate Middleton. Like mother, like daughter-in-law, the Duchess of Cambridge is one of the most well-known outfit repeaters in the world. While some of the 1% of celebrities may think it is beneath them to go on TV numerous times in the same clothing, Kate Middleton is the ideal example of how immature such thinking is. After all, there are so many better things to spend money on. Maybe she picked up her habits from the Queen, or she's just naturally frugal. But salutations to the Duchess. She's smarter than most people in the world. Her $10 million fortune won't be thrown away, that's for sure. And speaking of famous women in clothing, we have another national icon who has proven herself to be incredibly frugal with her money. Number 9. Michelle Obama. Class and Michelle Obama go hand in hand. While in the White House, she paid for the entirety of her wardrobe, preferring to divert taxpayer funds to more important endeavors. Most of the dresses and gowns she wore while her husband was in office were donated by designers. For everything else, she went shopping. Michelle Obama proves that there's no such thing as too cheap, and if anyone tells you that it is, they're probably not worth your time. On one of her appearances on NBC's Today Show, she was wearing a $35 dress from the fast fashion brand H&M. Oh, Michelle, you're just like us. Or not. After all, she had a net worth of $70 million, but she definitely didn't get there by blowing money on things she didn't need. Number 8. Keanu Reeves. I'm sure you didn't see this one coming, but is there any end to this man's virtues? Not only does Keanu Reeves dress modestly, but he's also chosen to avoid the opulent lifestyle that many of his celebrity colleagues admire. With a net worth of $380 million, it would be the easiest thing in the world for him to squander a few million on a few pricey luxury cars, but the actor refuses to do so. He travels by public transportation, such as the subway. If you saw him on the street, you'd be hard-pressed to recognize him as one of the highest-paid actors in the world. He's a man of the people through and through. After all, who doesn't love Keanu? But speaking of your peers living Senate lifestyles and flaunting how much money they have, we have the king of YouTube himself up next. Number 7. PewDiePie. He's a singer, a comedian, and the most popular YouTuber on the planet, unless you count mega corporations with unlimited resources. Felix Schellberg is a true self-made man who never forgot his humble beginnings. While his fellow YouTubers in Los Angeles live glamorous lives, causing controversy after controversy, PewDiePie remains humble. A simple glance at every video will reveal the same modest face. Sweatshirts and t-shirts galore. He doesn't spend money on cars he can't afford, and has reduced the production budget since separating from Disney. He even films most of the time from a spare room in his house. PewDiePie understands that when you're at the top, people will notice that you don't need to show everyone. What is it that people say? Riches is quiet, and no one illustrates it better than this following entry, of course. Number 6. Mark Zuckerberg. This list would be incomplete without Mark Zuckerberg himself, being the CEO of one of the world's largest corporations, having ushered in the era of social networking and becoming the 5th richest person with a net worth of more than $70 billion. Mark will not have to worry about money for the rest of his life, but if you see him on the street, you might believe he's just another millennial striving to pay off his student loans. In practically every picture flying around the internet, Mark can be seen wearing his signature jeans and a grey t-shirt while driving his $30,000 Acura to work. Knowing Zuckerberg, there was undoubtedly a lot of effort that went into this public image, which is fine. In fact, Mark and his wife have announced that they intend to give away the majority of their riches before they die, which is an objective we can all support. Hit the subscribe button before we get to the last few people on the list. Hopefully by subscribing to us, you'll learn how people comfortable with their wealth live. Keep watching, you'll never guess who took our number 1 spot. Number 5. Vincent Kartheiser. This one may be unfamiliar to you, owing to the fact that Kartheiser has yet to land any of the list's larger-than-life parts, but he still has to make his fair share of money. After all, he was the lead in the blockbuster program Mad Men and has a net worth of around $3 million. He may be the least wealthy on this list, but that figure is not to be dismissed. Despite his enormous success in life and a professional trajectory that appears to be on the rise, Kartheiser has maintained his humble demeanor. He doesn't go out of his way to impress. He dresses like any other guy on the street, and he doesn't even drive. In fact, the man is so minimalistic that he's in the process of giving away or selling whatever he doesn't need. But if you want someone truly at the top of the list, we have those folks coming up as well. And we're not talking about hundreds of millions of dollars here. We're talking about unimaginable, extremely rich people. Number 4. Amancio Ortega. Don't recognize the name? Don't worry, you probably remember the brand. Amancio Ortega is behind Zara and possesses an absurd net worth of $80 billion, the world's wealthiest retailer. Of course, just by looking at them, you'd never guess. Ortega came from a humble background, and despite owning one of the world's most well-known apparel brands, he still prefers to wear a plain t-shirt and slacks. He seldom wears a tie. But he does occasionally wear a suit, and he is so discreet about his life that no single photograph of him was available to the public until 1999. He is also a huge admirer of charity, donating millions to healthcare. The majority of these donations are directed toward his native Spain. And if he wasn't enough for you, we have another billionaire next up on the list. Number 3. Ingvar Kamprad. Kamprad was the owner of IKEA. In truth, the company's name is a combination of his initials, the first letter of his family's farm, and the first letter of a nearby town in Sweden. This places him alongside PewDiePie as the second Swede on this list. Perhaps modesty is a popular quality in the country. Throughout his life, he amassed almost $50 billion and was even the world's richest man. He never forgot about selling matchsticks from his bicycle. The billionaire was frequently seen wearing clothes that appeared to be well worn, and he regularly flew in economy class. Now, if you're sick of hearing about CEOs you've never heard of, up next we have someone who has become a household name. Number 2. Warren Buffett. The Oracle of Omaha is a businessman, investor, philanthropist, and one of the most well-known faces in the world. He is also one of the wealthiest persons in the world, not just in America. According to Forbes, he has a net worth of over $100 billion. So it's remarkable that a guy of his stature still prefers to remain in the same property he bought over 60 years ago, and he would never give it up. According to what he told investors, the $31,500 he bought it for was the best deal he ever made, because he now had almost a decade of memories, which is a sentiment we can all agree on because there is no price on joyful memories. Finally, we come to the end of the list. This individual is one of the most sought-for actors in the world, so witnessing him live a humble existence is humbling in and of itself. Number 1. Leonardo DiCaprio. If you saw Leonardo DiCaprio on the street, you'd be astonished, since when he's not on set for another billion-dollar film or staying with a 20-year-old lady, he's absolutely unrecognizable. Instead of attracting attention with costly apparel and flashy cars, he rides around town on leased cycles while wearing a baseball hat and shorts. Not bad for a man with a net worth of over $300 million. Clearly, he's learned something from his Gatsby character, who flaunted what inevitably ended in catastrophe. Let me know in the comment section which millionaire surprised you the most. Check out my last video about the actors who, unlike these wealthy individuals, lost everything they earned via unwise decisions. Thanks for watching. See you next time.